Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the terrifying case of Elisa Lam. If you don't know anything about this case, let me catch you up. In 2013, Elisa Lam, a 20-year-old Canadian student from Vancouver, was traveling through Los Angeles by herself when she decided to stay at the Cecil Hotel. Now, the Cecil Hotel is no stranger to weird occurrences. In fact, the building has been referred to as the most cursed hotel in America, and there's a reason for that. Over the years, it's seen its fair share of death, destruction, tragedy, and murder. It has also been home to some of the most prolific serial killers, including Richard Ramirez and Jack Unterweger. So needless to say, the place has got a pretty bad reputation. But back to Miss Lam. She checked into the hotel on January 2013 and paid for 5 nights. But she never made it to the end of her trip. On January 31st, 2013, Elisa's family had not heard from her in a few days and were starting to get worried. They tried calling her cell phone but went straight to voicemail. And when they reached out to the hotel to ask if they had seen her, the staff told them that they had no idea where she was and that she had not checked out yet. When Elisa's brother called the police to report her missing, they were able to access the hotel's CCTV footage, which is where things started to get really creepy. The video starts off innocently enough. We see a young woman who appears to be Elisa walking into the elevator. She's holding a suitcase and is dressed in bright pink clothing. The elevator doors close and we see her press the button for the second floor. It's around this time that things start to get strange. Elisa suddenly looks over her shoulder and seems to be looking for something or someone. She presses the elevator button again, but instead of waiting for the elevator to move, she crouches down and hides behind the corner. Then she starts moving in a very unnatural way, almost like she's trying to hide from something. She then proceeds to open the elevator doors manually and slowly stick her head out to look left and right as if she is looking for someone. After a minute or so, she closes the door again and continues to behave erratically, putting her suitcase down and laying on the floor. She begins making strange hand movements as if she's pushing something away. And it looks like she's talking to someone. She then stands back up and looks down at her feet. She does this whole routine twice more before the elevator arrives at her floor. She opens the door and exits. This video would go on to garner international attention and would spark a number of theories as to what could have possibly happened to her. And while police did find Elisa's body just 2 weeks later, the case is still a complete mystery. Elisa's behavior in the elevator definitely raised a lot of red flags for police. Here was a young woman who appeared to be in good spirits, enjoying a vacation in sunny Los Angeles. Why would she all of a sudden act erratically and hide from her own reflection? Some believe that the footage caught Elisa during a psychotic break. But this theory quickly fell apart because those who knew Elisa said that she had no history of mental illness. Her friends and family said that she was happy and healthy and was excited to be traveling. Another theory suggests that the video caught Elisa seconds before she was abducted by an unknown man. There were a few people who came forward claiming that they saw a man matching Elisa's description leaving the hotel around the time she disappeared. However, despite extensive searching, police were unable to locate him. A third and perhaps the most popular theory suggests that Elisa accidentally drowned in the elevator. You see, the elevator in question wasn't your typical elevator. It was extremely old and was known to have issues. And while it was meant to service 64 floors, it actually only serviced the first 3. The theory goes that Elisa may have pressed the wrong button and ended up getting trapped inside the elevator shaft. She panicked and began running, slipped, and fell. And since the elevator wasn't attached to any cables, she fell all the way to the bottom and died instantly. The water tank is located on the roof of the hotel, but the elevator goes down to the basement level, so the trip would have been quite a long one. This theory seemed likely at first, but the elevator was inspected thoroughly and showed no signs of damage, meaning that Eliza would have had to have fallen without making a sound. There was also the theory that she took her own life. However, there was no indication that she was depressed or suicidal. Another theory is that Eliza was the victim of foul play. This is supported by the fact that the Cecil Hotel has such a gruesome history. However, her body showed no signs of trauma, leading investigators to rule out this theory. So what really happened to Elisa Lam? Well, it depends on who you ask. LAPD believes that Eliza accidentally drowned in the elevator shaft, but her family disagrees. They think that she was murdered. Paranormal experts claim that the video shows Elisa being stalked by a ghost. They say that the building's dark energy is to blame. The most likely explanation is that Eliza suffered a psychotic break and was disoriented. Perhaps she didn't realize that the elevator wasn't going to take her to the floor that she wanted to go to, and she became frightened when she realized her mistake. She could have climbed out of the elevator shaft and fallen to her death. But why would a perfectly normal person like Eliza do something so reckless? Well, you see, Elisa's story is eerily similar to another elevator mystery that took place decades ago. In 1974, a 23-year-old woman named Helen Thelma Wilson was riding an elevator in her apartment building. The elevator was old and frequently broke down. Suddenly, the lights went out and Helen found herself plunged into total darkness. As she stood there waiting for the power to come back on, she felt a presence in the elevator with her. She started to panic and pressed the button for her floor. When the doors opened, she ran out and locked herself in her apartment. A few hours later, Helen's boyfriend came home and found her in her apartment. She was sitting on the couch staring blankly ahead of her. When he asked her what was wrong, she told him that she had just seen a ghost. She explained that when the elevator broke down and the lights went out, she felt something evil enter the elevator with her. She couldn't see it, but she could feel it breathing on her neck. She said that she begged God to protect her from whatever was in the elevator, and when the doors opened, she ran home. Helen told her boyfriend that she would never ride the elevator again. And as a way of coping with the traumatic event, she started taking psychiatric medication. But unfortunately, Helen's condition went from bad to worse. She started having delusions and hearing voices. She believed that the ghost was following her and was determined to kill her. One day, Helen climbed into her bathtub and turned on the hot water. She was never heard from again. Her body was found in the apartment 10 days later. An autopsy revealed that she had died of hyperthermia, aka overheating. The coroner also found traces of carbon monoxide poisoning in her system, suggesting that the elevator's faulty wiring may have played a role in her death. Helen's case was ruled a suicide, but her family and friends disagreed. They said that Helen was a vibrant, loving woman who wouldn't hurt a fly. Could something similar have happened to Elisa Lam? Perhaps, but ultimately, we may never know for sure. Now, it's important to note that both of these cases are very different. Sure, there are similarities, but the circumstances surrounding them are completely different. And while it's tempting to compare the two, I think it's best to look at them individually. It's also important to keep in mind that neither case has been solved, meaning that all we have are theories. That being said, I do think that both women suffered from some sort of mental illness. That's not to say that either case is invalid, but it is something to keep in mind. I think it's easy to write off both of these cases as paranormal when there is a perfectly reasonable explanation. Yes, both women died in mysterious circumstances, but their deaths can be explained by science. Neither of them were murdered, nor were they the victims of foul play. I know it's hard to accept that sometimes there are rational explanations for irrational behavior, but in both of these cases, that's what happened. Of course, I'm only speculating here. That's what makes this case so interesting. There's no clear-cut answer, and anyone can come up with their own theory as to what happened. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more true horror and mystery stories every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.